How many people do you think were killed by rifles in 2019?
Maybe 70 to 100,000.
What about knives and cutting instruments?
I think it's way less. I think it's probably 50,000.
Maybe 200, I feel like less.
Probably in the thousands, definitely, maybe tens of thousands.
Would it surprise you if I told you that in 2019, 364 people were killed by rifles in America?
Only 364?
Yeah. Would you be surprised if I told you that more than 4 times as many people were killed by knives than by rifles in 2019?
Well, no, I'm not surprised by that, I guess.
Would you be surprised if I told you it was 1,476?
Yeah, that's a lot, actually.
Would you be in favor, or could you see yourself being in favor of a knife ban?
No.
Why?
In my head, it makes sense to minimize the most damage.
What the dog doing?
And
But if you're minimizing the most damage, knives kill more people.
I guess that's a good point.
The 2022 Bipartisan Safer Communities Act is a gift that keeps on giving. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you like channel-like content and what I do here, you can support me with the link. Everything's appreciated. And to my Connecticut residents, as always, I recommend you get your training done to get your pistol permits before July 1st. Get that paperwork turned in. The training has been modified to start on July 1st. Try to get it done before that. To those of you who have your permits, watch the expiration date. Don't let it expire. There's a link to the online renewal portal for the state of Connecticut for pistol permits in the description box. Keep an eye on that. Let's talk about this. And once again, this is just, as we've seen several other instances, abuses of language in the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which you remember they passed in 2022. They call it bipartisan because they managed to get a couple of rhinos on board. So now they're saying that this is an all-inclusive action on their part, which is nonsense. We just know that they got a couple of anti-gun Republicans to jump on board with this thing. But what a consequence of this act is, other than the ones that we've already seen, is now they have changed the definition of engaged in the business of when it comes to selling firearms. And what they're saying is if you sell a firearm for money, you are engaged in the business of selling firearms and you must go get a license to do so and conduct a background check. Now, obviously this is clear what they're trying to do. It's just a real slick way of basically introducing universal background checks through the back door. But let me come into here. Biden administration initiates universal background checks. Okay. In a move to shore to draw the ire of Second Amendment advocates, the White House on Thursday approved the most sweeping changes to mandatory federal background checks on gun transfers in generations. The move, the administration argues, is authorized under the aegis of the Byzantine 2022 Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which was rushed through Congress in near record time with a modicum of Republican support. The mechanism for the expansion of background checks is the 466-page final rule announced by the Department of Justice, which would update the current definition of what it is to be engaged in the business as a firearm dealer. You have a gun and you sell it yourself to a friend because you want to go get something different, you want to upgrade, whatever it may be. Now you got to go get a license, and now you got to basically do a background check, which is absolute nonsense. But the public comment period for the originally proposed rule, which ended last December, saw nearly 388,000 comments logged, 238,000 of which were channeled via cut and paste advocacy by the Bloomberg Back Every Town Anti-Gun Group, which they do that every time. These people do not have an original thought. They just have one focus, one agenda. They have no critical thinking skills, period. That's why they can only copy and paste. They don't know any better. Quote, I applaud the hard work of ATF in drafting this rule and reviewing the hundreds of thousands of public comments which overwhelmingly favored the rule announced today, copied and paste comments, said Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco in a statement from the DOJ. Because of that work, our communities will be safer. because criminals are really going to go get a license and do a background check when they pass firearms amongst each other. Yeah, people are amazing. But with the White House terming the change the only significant expansion of background checks requirements since then, Senator Biden helped shepherd the Brady bill over the finish line in 1993. The action cites questionable research from Everytown to go after those selling as little as one gun without a current federal firearms license. Like I said, you're an individual, you have a gun, you have a friend of yours you want to sell the gun to, now they're telling you got to get a license. That's all it comes down to, which of course is going to discourage you from doing that. That's all it's really for. The final rule clarifies that even a single firearm transaction would be sufficient to require a license if there is other behavior to suggest commercial activity, says the White House. However, keeping the cherished tradition of Kafkaesque confusion that is hallmark of nightmarishly complex federal regulations alive, the ATF notes reassuringly in the new rule that, to make this clear, the final rule has not been revised to state that certain conduct, including liquidating a personal collection or occasionally reselling firearms to improve a personal collection, is conduct that does not support a presumption that the person or a person is engaged in the business. And once again, you're leaving a bureaucrat to decide what that is. Meanwhile, the new legal definition of personal firearms collection just covers guns accumulated for study or non-commercial hobbies, such as historical reenactment or competition shooting, and excludes firearms accumulated primarily for personal protection, which would seem to go against the most basic reading of the Second Amendment. Quote, the law is now clear. If you're selling firearms at a gun show or online, you are presumed to be engaged in the business of dealing firearms or guns and must obtain a license and run background checks on all customers, John Feinblatt, president of Everytown, said in a statement. What else is he going to say? He's going to be the propaganda artist. Why would you expect anything different from him? But the final rule goes into effect 30 days after the date of publication in the Federal Register. However, here we go. There's going to be a challenge, but John Cornyn and Tom Tillis are planning to introduce a joint resolution of disapproval under the Congressional Review Act to overturn this unconstitutional rule, and already have other Senate Republicans signed on in support. The CRA has been endorsed by the National Shooting Sports Foundation. So let me go ahead and come out of that. Now, you hear them all the time, Democrats to the left, universal background checks, universal background checks. They just say it. They don't tell you how it's better than the NICS system. The bottom line is they're just trying to make it harder for the law-abiding citizen to basically exercise a right. You have a gun, you don't like it anymore. You know, we have all done it. All gun owners have done this. And you want to sell it, and you sell it to a friend. A friend goes, hey, I'll buy that from you. Now these fools are telling you, you got to go get a license to do it. How does that make anybody safer? It doesn't. It does not. Now, I'm all for rules and laws as long as they are not made as a gotcha after the fact, because most gun laws are used against you after the fact. They're not proactive. They're used to get you after the fact. So, once again, hopefully these Senate Republicans will get this thing overturned, because it's absolutely ridiculous to think that if you go to sell one gun to somebody, as I have done, as many of us have done, you now go to get a license to do it. And these anti-gun groups, they'll basically act like lapdogs for anything that goes against the Second Amendment. So I can't take them seriously because they're not serious people. If all they can do is copy and paste a comment to then say, we have the overwhelming majority of comments, so we're in the majority. No, copy and pasting is absolute nonsense. It shows you have no critical thinking skills, you have no brain. But we'll see how this plays out. Once again, hopefully they'll overturn it and put a kibosh on it, because it is not a law. It is a rule. Okay, for now. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace.